So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. The idea behind this lecture series is very simple. You see, current affairs form the most important portion of your prelims examination. Around 40 to 50% of the MCQs are directly or indirectly related to current affairs. Therefore, covering current affairs comprehensively is very important for you. And what better way to revise and cover your current affairs comprehensively than by getting the much needed MCQ practice? Now, through this lecture series, you'll get to practice 4 to 5 MCQs on a daily basis. And these daily basis MCQ practice would add up to more than 1200 MCQs by the time you're ready for your prelims examination. Now, ask any successful aspirant. 1200 MCQs from the topic of current affairs are more than sufficient for your prelims examination. So if you really want to secure your chances of clearing this exam, well, make sure you make this lecture series a part of your daily routine. Make it a daily habit of yours. All right, let's begin today's discussion, starting with question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding sovereign green bonds. These are debt instruments for the government whose proceeds go towards climate change mitigation and adaptation projects. Okay. These bonds offer higher yield than normal bonds, making them attractive for investors. Proceeds of sustainability bonds, a subset of green bonds, go for renewable energy only. Okay. So the term bond, basically bond is a borrowing instrument. So whoever issues a bond, whether that's a corporate entity or a government entity, well, that issuance of bonds is for borrowing money. Okay. Now, green bonds. What are green bonds? Well, green bonds are those bonds through which money is borrowed towards green projects, climate change mitigation and adaptation. And when the word sovereign is added over here, then that means these bonds are issued by the government. So these are debt instruments for the government whose proceeds go towards climate change mitigation and adaptation projects. Absolutely correct. Now, the biggest advantage of issuing these green bonds is that in conventional bonds, for normal bonds issued by government or any corporate entity, the interest rate offered by the borrower for these normal bonds is known as yield. Okay, just remember this, that interest rate on bonds, because these are borrowings basically, so interest rate on bonds is known as yield. Okay, now the reason why government issues green bonds is that basically the yield on normal bonds is generally higher than yield on green bonds. Okay, so government issues green bonds because they have to pay lower interest, lower yield than normal bonds, so it becomes attractive for the issuer of green bonds. The reason why government offers lower yield is because government wants to lower its borrowing cost for environment. Okay, so sovereign green bonds offer higher, no lower yield than normal bonds. In fact, the yield on normal bonds and the yield on green bonds, the difference between the two is known as green premium or greenium. And this green premium basically makes it attractive for the government to issue these bonds. So this statement is false because it offers lower yield. Now, there is another category of bonds called sustainability bonds. Okay, and the thing is that these sustainability bonds are issued by a government or a private entity, but the proceeds of this sustainability bond or the borrowing of this sustainability bond can either go towards green projects or towards social projects, schools, hospitals, poverty alleviation programs. Okay, so sustainability bonds basically cover green bonds and social projects as well, social bonds as well. So it is not used only for renewable energy, it can be used for social projects as well. So this statement is also false. Only 1A. Question 2. Which of the following statements regarding PM Dhan Krishi Yojana is are correct? It will support farmers from chosen 100 districts and will benefit around 1.7 crore farmers. The criteria for choosing these 100 districts are low productivity, low cropping intensity, and low irrigation potential. It was launched in the Union Budget of 2024-25. Now, PM Dhan Krishi Yojana was launched in this year's budget, which was 2025-26. So this statement is false. The purpose of this scheme or Yojana is to identify 100 districts where agricultural sector is facing the highest number of challenges. Okay, the farmers are facing the most severe challenges. Okay, now when these 100 districts would be identified, then government would take steps to alleviate these concerns in these 100 districts so that farmers could benefit out of it. Okay, now this scheme will benefit around 1.7 crore farmers, absolutely correct. Now these 100 districts shall be chosen through three things. Okay, three criteria. Three things would be looked at. Okay, low productivity. So districts that have very low productivity will be chosen. Low cropping intensity. Okay, and low agricultural credit, not irrigation potential. So this statement is also false. Only one. The answer is B. Question number 3. Consider the following statements regarding the legality of marital rape in India. Section 375 of Indian Penal Code (IPC) criminalizes non-consensual sex between a husband and a wife. The new penal code called Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita has kept this provision in section 63. BNS has no provision similar to section 377 of IPC, which criminalizes carnal intercourse against the order of nature. Okay. Now, section 375 of IPC basically criminalizes rape. But there is a caveat. If that activity is between a husband and a wife, then if a husband forces her wife to have sex with him, or non-consensual sex happened between a husband and wife, then that is not categorized as rape and is not criminalized also. So the idea of marital rape is not criminalized in Indian law. Okay, section 375 penalizes rape, but a non-consensual carnal activity between a husband and a wife is not considered rape. That is why this provision is also criticized, because it doesn't recognize marital rape as rape. Okay, so it doesn't criminalize non-consensual sex. Okay, this statement is false. Now, section 375 criminalizes rape, and recently IPC was replaced by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, BNS. And in BNS, section 375 has been rechristened as section 63. So section 363 basically is same as section 375 of IPC, section 63 of BNS. Okay, so this part is correct. Now there is another section called section 377, which criminalizes carnal intercourse against the order of nature. Okay, against the order of nature, basically unnatural sexual activity. So basically 377 was used to criminalize homosexuality. Okay, because in IPC it was considered as unnatural. But many females use this section 377 to basically penalize or criminalize the non-consensual sexual activity done by their husbands, because these females alleged that this non-consensual sexual activity in their marriage is also unnatural. Okay, so the females who were suffering from marital rape used to go for section 377 to penalize their erring husbands. All right. The thing is that section 377 has been completely omitted in this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita has no similar provision as section 377. Okay, so this statement is also correct. 2 and 3, the answer is B. And question number 4. Which of the following statements are correct regarding the new Income Tax Bill 2025? If passed, it will replace the Income Tax Act 1961 from April 2026. Previous law used the tax year approach, whereas the new law will use the assessment year approach. The new law has expanded the definition of income to include digital virtual assets. Okay. The thing is that the government actually tabled new Income Tax Bill 2025 in the Parliament. If this bill is passed, then it will replace the old Income Tax Act of 1961 and will be enforced from April 2026. So this part is correct. Now, there are many changes that are made in this new income tax law. Okay, first of all, now this income tax law will use tax year approach or concept. The previous law, 1961 law, used assessment year approach. approach. What's the difference? Well, in assessment year, your income is taxed in the next financial year. So suppose the income you earned in 2024-25 will be taxed in 2025-26. That was assessment year approach. But in tax year approach, the income will be taxed in the same year in which it was earned. Okay. So previous law used tax year approach. No, previous law used assessment year approach. The new law uses tax year approach. So this statement is false. Another change was made in this new law was that income from assets was also taxed in the old law. But in those list of assets, cryptocurrencies or digital assets were not included. But in the new law, income from virtual digital assets would also be taxed and is also included in the new income tax law. So this is also correct. Okay. Answer is 1 and 3, C. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. It has. Okay. But it would add more value if you'll revise this lecture as well. Just spend 5 to 10 minutes taking a look at written detailed solutions to each and every MCQ discussed above. Okay. Now, these solutions are provided in our notes, and these notes are shared on our Telegram platform. Now, where can you find our Telegram channel? Well, just below this video in the comment section, you'll find a link. Just click on that link. It'll take you to our Telegram channel, and from there, you can download the notes for not just this lecture, but all the other lectures featuring on our YouTube channel. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.